Jérôme has been paraplegic for 21 years. He no longer has control over his legs, nor any sensory feedback. The Inria CAMIN research team specialises in the study of neuroprostheses and functional electrical stimulation. The application to stimulation-assisted pedaling is a new challenge, and one that has been taken up by the team, made up of a pilot, researchers, a doctor, and a physiotherapist. As part of a research protocol, the scientists have monitored Jérôme's performances and the evolution of various physiological and psychological criteria. This team prepared for a year in order to take part in the first edition of the Cybathlon.
Le Cybathlon s'est présenté comme les Olympiades de la robotique.
The Cybathlon is described as the Olympic Games of robotics, as there will be 6 events where new exoskeletons, chairs that can go pretty much anywhere, and also electrostimulation will be presented. Of all these disciplines, there is one that is of particular interest to us, a recumbent bike race pedaled by paraplegics or tetraplegics as a result of electrical muscular stimulation. The challenge of this competition is to cover 750 meters in under 8 minutes. That doesn't sound very complicated, but for us, it puts an enormous amount of strain on the muscles. You'll see from Jérôme's races that it is a movement that is quite slow, in fact, compared to what an able-bodied person would do. So you need to reach a sufficiently substantial rhythm in order to successfully achieve this objective. Electrical stimulation is a series of electrical impulses for which we can set different parameters on our stimulators. The current amplitude, the pulse width, and the frequency at which we send these stimulations. Depending on these parameters, muscle contraction will be more or less strong, more or less intense, more or less quick. And so this is what we're trying to adapt. And so by stimulating different muscles at different times through synchronization, we can not only cause one muscle to contract, but also several muscles, and therefore obtain a movement or even restore a complex function. In order to optimize pedaling whilst minimizing pilot fatigue, 2 pairs of electrodes are placed on the surface of his legs. These electrodes are connected to the stimulation unit controlled by the pilot. The unit is pre-programmed with muscular activation sequences or patterns in order to generate a following pedaling movement by calling on the appropriate muscles in turn. An angle sensor fitted to the bike's beam will send angle information to the stimulator, which will then release the electrical impulse to such and such a muscle during the pedaling phase. We have different sensors that allow us to monitor the pilot's activity. For example, inertial measurement units that give us the pedaling rhythm, its variability, or more simply, the bike's speed. We also have sensors enabling us to monitor the pilot's health, such as a cardiac sensor and various other power sensors that have allowed us to devise the perfect stimulation template to obtain efficient pedaling over a suitable duration on the day of the competition. The pilot has no physiological or physical feedback on what is happening on his legs. He only receives indirect information about his level of fatigue and his overall condition. And so it's important to provide him with information so that, for example, he can adjust the amplitude of the electrical stimulation so that he knows what speed he's doing, at what rhythm, and if fatigue is beginning to set in. This work on the interface between the patient, his legs, and the bike therefore requires new findings in our field, communicating inertial measurement units, wireless sensor networks, processing of information so that he gets it in real time, and which is adapted and translated for this type of application, which is quite specific. Indeed. As the lower part of Jérôme's body no longer communicates with the upper part, the interface developed by the researchers recreates, as it were, this link in order to restore the body's unity. What's really interesting for me is that I've got my whole body back. In my case, the injury is situated very high up indeed, and the fact that I can see my legs working and activating this bike made me aware once again that my body didn't just end at my spinal cord injury, and that I really did have a body from head to toe. To ride a bike, to train, to get endurance, to improve physiological functions, but also for fun. And so Jérôme achieved his goal, covering the 750 meters in under 8 minutes. With over half of the riders unable to finish the race, our team went far beyond what it was aiming for in this competition. But in fact, we don't call this patient a patient anymore. He's become a fully fledged partner. Not because we want to add value to his participation, but for the purpose of getting constant feedback, information on how he's feeling, on what he himself can observe with regard to any malfunction in the protocol, etc. This is vital, and I think that this has helped our protocol, a set of improvements that we have been able to make so far. Plus the fact that we kept going for a year with a pilot who trained 2 or 3 times a week, who held strong throughout this time, having a physio who came to join us who had never done any research before, a doctor, and more engineering aspects that we were already aware of. So this team, which stuck together for a year and took Jérôme to this physical preparation, is already, in our eyes, an enormous success. And there was also a real human dimension within this team, and that's what motivated me. There are 5 of us working on this subject. Above all, it's a great encounter, a wonderful human adventure, and that's really how I feel. I can feel myself getting emotional when I talk about it. Beyond the research project, a lot of work remains to be done because even if Jérôme can now pedal, it is the result of intense and demanding training. What's more, some physiological issues remain to be solved concerning his heart rate or the fragility of his bones due to the effort involved. We therefore still need a few more years so that a greater number of patients can benefit from this, including those in situations other than spinal cord injuries.